So the grazer's favorite tool is a grazing stick. Why is a grazing stick important? Well, this tells us exactly how much dry matter or forages we need to give our livestock each day or for each move. It also tells us how big of an area we can set up for them in acres. There's various types of grazing sticks. Everybody's got one, but the main thing is just having the simple ruler here to measure forage height. Everything else, once you get used to it, as far as figuring the available dry matter, is pretty standard. So I'll take you through that now. So the first thing that we want to do is take this against the ground and measure our leaf height. Okay, you don't want to measure just the highest tip that we have, or you don't want to measure the shortest tip that we have, but just a good average. And you want to take this measurement a few different places across the particular pasture you want to be in, so you don't just have one single sample. And don't pick the best spot, don't pick the worst spot, just try to find a good average. So what we're seeing here is somewhere around an average of 16 inches on the leaf height. So we know that 16 inches is how tall our leaves are, but if we graze all 16 of that inches, you'll have dirt, and that's what we don't want. So what a very basic, simple rule is, take half, leave half, for the beginner grazer, that is. Anyway, so if we take half of that 16 inches, it's 8 inches. So we're going to use that 8-inch number to put into our formula to figure the rest of it out. So the second thing that we need to figure out is the forage density. So how we figure that is we actually take our grazing stick along the ground and we put it underneath the forage and the thatch right against the soil. So in this situation, we can see about 20% of the grazing stick or less. So what that tells us is we have pretty good forage diversity here. So the average pastures, I would say, would be between 200 and 250 pounds of dry matter per square inch. This is a little bit better than that, but for today we're going to use the 250 pounds per square inch number. So now that we know we have 8 inches of available forage, because we don't want to take all 16 inches, and again, a more experienced grazer can take more if they understand the rest periods and proper moving of that. So take your 8 inches times the 250 pounds of dry matter per square inch, which gives you 2,000 pounds of available dry matter. Now let's jump to the animal side of things. We have 100 cows that will average 1,250 pounds apiece. So we have 125,000 pounds of animal. So we take that 125,000 pounds, and they're lactating since there are pairs in this situation. So let's give them, say they need about 3.5% of their body weight in forage. So we take that times the total weight and we get 4,375 pounds of dry matter needed for that herd of 100 pairs. So now we've got our available dry matter and we have what the cows need to get through that grazing day. Let's put it all together and measure our paddock size. What we're going to do is we're going to take the dry matter needed by the 100 pairs, and then we're going to divide that by the available dry matter. So that's the 4,375 divided by the 2,000 pounds of available dry matter, and we get 2.18 acres per paddock. Now let's just go ahead and round that to 2.2 for easy figuring. So on that 2.2 acre paddock, that is for one day. So if you want to move every other day or move 2 times a day, you just simply multiply and divide that number to change those move dates and give you more or less forage available. Now that we have our paddock size figured out and know what we have time to move, whether it's once a day or once every other day, we can also figure out our stock density, or how many pounds of livestock are on that particular acre. So in this situation, we had 125,000 pounds of animal units on 2.2 acres, which gives us somewhere around 56,000 pounds of animal units on that particular acre. Again, if you make that paddock bigger and move less often, that's less pounds per acre, or if you make smaller paddocks and move more frequently within that one day, you have a higher stock density. I will say, if you do keep a higher stock density, generally, it's a good rule of thumb to give a longer rest period to let that forage recover after much trampling in the high stock density.